Shalom, today's June 3rd, day 606 of the war in Israel. Israel woke up to hard news where 3 of our soldiers fell in the north of the Gaza Strip. Lior, Ofek, and Omer. Lior and Ofek were combat paramedics, and Omer was a unit commander, a class commander. And they went into Jabalia, the north part of the Gaza Strip, to take out a fire that exploded in a nagmash. Nagmash is an armed vehicle of the IDF, and it was on fire. They went in with other soldiers to take this fire out and return back to Israel. And on their way back into Israel's territory, there were explosives that were prepared in advance for them. And one of the vehicles got a direct hit from these explosives, and that's where Ofek, Omer, and Lior were killed. 2 others are severely injured, and they're being treated in the hospital right now. I just heard Ofek's teacher on the radio saying how intelligent he was. He was tall, he was friendly, very intelligent, loved biology. And there he was as a combat paramedic, going in to help other soldiers and falling in battle. So may their memory be blessed. The newspaper doesn't have that news yet, but it does have other news that during the Feast of Weeks, the Feast of Pentecost that Israel just celebrated yesterday, there were so many murderers, ovdan shlita, losing control, or you can say out of control. Here in the image is one of the scenes in Lod where one was murdered. So here we have the list. On Friday night, there was a double murder in Kfar Qasim, which is an Arab village. On Shabbat, which is Saturday, a son killed his mother in Ma'ale Levona. On Sunday morning, a mother kills herself after she kills her son in Modi'in, an Israeli town. On Monday morning, another murder in Lod. On Monday morning again, there's a murder in Netanya. On Monday morning again, another murder and suicide in Bat Yam, another Israeli city. And on Monday evening, 2 were killed in Jabalia, an explosion of a car. Jabalia is an Arab town. So this is out of control murder. And this leads us to the cartoon where we see Moses with the 2 tablets reading Lo Tirtzach, you shall not kill. And we see the red strip of Israel's police. It says Mishtarat Israel, Israel's police, no trespassing, ein ma'avar. And we see the evidence. We see the blood, the outlines of the dead bodies, and the bloody knives. Here's the big headline of this article: Retzach Rodef Retzach. One murder is following another murder. Hashetach Bo'er. The ground is burning. Netanya. These are the areas, the scenes of the murder incidents. Jabalia with the car. Lod, Gurmusa, was killed. Modi'in. In Modi'in, I read specifically about Modi'in, and I'll share with you. It's a well-known Israeli town, and a mother kills her 13-year-old son with stabbing. She then lights up her apartment, kills herself with the knife, and the door is locked from inside. A towel is put on the bottom that the smoke won't release, so she is committing suicide, and that's how they were found. So the high estimation is that nobody killed them, but she killed her son and then herself. And here's Bat Yam. A husband kills his wife, and then he's threatening that he'll jump from the roof, and the police were with him negotiating 9 hours, in which in the end he decides to jump and kills himself. Bat Yam, another Israeli town. Alimut mishtolelet berechevot. The violence is going crazy in the streets, and it looks like that the police does not have any advice. Sviv hashon, kach nira chaos. Around the clock, this is what chaos looks like. And they go in the article hour by hour, incident after incident, with so many killed. And specifically about the Arab community, where they have much more murder incidents, much more than the Jewish one. Here we read, 5 chodashim, 5 months, 100 nirtzachim, 100 people killed. From the beginning of the year 2025, there have been registered a crazy number of 100 murder incidents, and only 10% of them were resolved. In the Arab society, they're furious. They're saying this is the policy of the government that's wanting the underground mafia of the Arab society to take over us. That's why they're not doing anything. Well, how about some personal responsibility about education, family upbringing, culture? The numbers are way higher in the Arab society. Next, התמרון ברצועה מתרחב. The maneuver, the ground maneuver, in the strip, when we say in Israel strip, we mean the Gaza strip, is expanding. Here in the picture, we see an attack of the Air Force in the Ir Gaza. And this is following the refusal of Hamas to accept any outline of Witkoff's for the release of hostages. So now the policy of the IDF together with the government of Israel is clearer. They're saying, we will continue to fight until Hamas agrees to a deal to release the hostages. So when they are not agreeing to a deal, the IDF will continue to fight. Very clear. I feel that since the chief of staff, the new chief of staff, Eyal Zamir, is in the IDF, the policy is clearer. Back then, before him, it was in and out. IDF takes over, cleans an area, leaves the area, terrorists take over that area again, and IDF soldiers continue to die as we continue to try to take over that area again. So this is clear. We're taking over areas. We're staying there. We will continue to maneuver and explode the Hamas infrastructure and Hamas terrorists, and we will not stop until they release the hostages, until they agree to a deal. I'll highlight the last paragraph here. It says, כחלק מהמאמץ לפנות את האוכלוסייה, as part of the efforts to evacuate the Gaza citizens, to keep them safe, the IDF spokesperson in Arabic published yesterday an announcement that says the IDF is going to work hard now in these areas where you are living. They're speaking specifically in Khan Yunis. The terror organizations, and the head of them is Hamas, are continuing to work terror within the residential areas where you're living. So for your safety, please evacuate west towards Al-Muwasi. Al-Muwasi is left of Khan Yunis. They're telling them, go to a safe spot. We're going to bomb the place. This is where Hamas infrastructure is. And this is so humane. I don't know any other military in the world that tells the enemy to evacuate for their own safety. And then the IDF is wanting to target only the terrorist and the terror infrastructure. Yesterday in the Red, it reads about the antisemitic attack that happened in Boulder, Colorado. And it reads here, this is a gross antisemitic attack, but we will continue to march for the sake of the families. And when they say the families, they mean the families of the hostages that are still in Gaza. So there was a march yesterday pro-Israel, and a Muslim Egyptian man that lives there in Boulder. This man waits for the march to get close, and he throws benzene cocktails on them, and a few people get injured. One of them is 80-year-old, and she was severely burned. There's more and more anti-Semitic attacks around the world, specifically America and also Europe. Qatar many times is backing up financially these different attacks. The next headline, Me'abdim et HaTzafon, losing the north. And this is a first article in a series where, this newspaper is going to show how Israel is losing the north. We're speaking about the northern Jewish villages that are not doing well since October 7th. So it's way past a year and a half, and they have not been rehabilitated. Not everybody has returned. People, not all of them have jobs. Schools are closing. So for in this case, in this article, they're highlighting Kiryat Shmona, one of the main towns up in the north near the border with Lebanon and Syria. And here there's a play on words. It's called Kiryat Shmona, but the headline is called Krisat Shmona. Krisa means the breakdown of Shmona, of Kiryat Shmona. It says, he reads here, Ha'ir shelo chazra lachaim, the city that did not come back to life. Kiryat Shmona. And some numbers here. While 62% of the Israelis returned to their homes in northern Israel, 6% of them are still in hotels. But in Kiryat Shmona, only 17% went back to full business. 30% of businesses came back to partial business. And 52% returned to the city. And only 8 out of 34 social workers are active in the city that is calling for help and needing a lot of help. And the main news in Kiryat Shmona in this article is that a school, a very well-known older school that was a sign of victory, and they, throughout all the years, they've been succeeding to survive. The school was open for so many years. It's called Kolchak School. It is closing. There aren't enough students. Not one student signed up for first grade next year. So Kiryat Shmona decides to close the school. They're saying it's for the better. We'll have better schools, smaller schools, or fewer schools in Kiryat Shmona, but Kolchak will close. Here is a father that says, why do they tell us to come back? His son Do is supposed to go up to Kita Aleph to study in first grade. And he says, why do they tell us that we can go back to our home in Kiryat Shmona when there's not a good future for our children? Avichai Stern is fighting the government for funds and that they will fulfill their promises. Avichai Stern is the mayor of Kiryat Shmona. Here in the image, we see closed shops, and down here we see the Jewish National Fund, USA, and the Greater Kiryat Shmona Medical and Emergency Center that's not active. And I guess it's frozen in this stage of maybe renovations or building. We'll end with something good. Mashahu tov l'siyum, something good to end with. Tzomchi mitoch ha'ason, growing, blossoming, from within the tragedy or from within the disaster. The disaster is October 7th, and here it is for the first time since October 7th, the Nir'oz community. Nir'oz is a hard-hit kibbutz in the Gaza envelope. They are celebrating the Feast of Weeks for the first time in Nir'oz. It's a kibbutz where agriculture is very a main thing there. And they rely on agriculture, and they know what agriculture is. And the Feast of Pentecost is all around first fruits and harvest, and bringing the Lord first fruits. We know it also is related to the Holy Spirit in the New Testament. But Gadi Moses, who was released 4 months ago from Gaza, he was the one leading the ceremony like he did in every year, but last year they did not have a ceremony. And he just speaks here that this ceremony is a remembrance of 66 of the kibbutz members that were killed, and 14 of them are in captivity still in Hamas. In the pictures we see children celebrating. Here is some of the wheat and harvest tractors and children driving behind it. And here a memorial table to remember those who are fallen. But Gadi Moses says, with all the sorrow and with all the pain, this ceremony is about hope and optimism. Next to the immense sadness that we are experiencing and that it will take time for us to recuperate from, we are here and we're optimistic more than ever. Kadima la'avodah. Let's go on to work. For more news, you can go to allisraelnews.com. If you like this video, please like it and share it with your friends. God bless you as you continue to stand and pray for Israel. I'm Rotem Magen, broadcasting from the hills near Jerusalem.